So ironically, the Citizen News is actually where you can find the exact timestamp of 8:55 p.m. of when they found Ashlee. And it's also the same police officer, Deputy Director of Criminal Investigations, Chimbrera. He states it has been established beyond a reasonable doubt that Robinson died by suicide linked to mental distress. The incident happened on April 8th, 2026 at around 8:55 p.m. at the Zuri Hotel in North Uguja, where she had been staying with her fiancé, Joemccann. Through witness statements and analysis of communication devices belonging to the deceased and her fiancé, we established that she had been experiencing mental distress. SMS exchanges showed repeated complaints regarding her life circumstances. She was found unresponsive by the hotel staff at approximately 8:55, which is still an hour and a half before he gets his new room key to 65, and while presumably she's still texting him and her mother. So my question is, if the fights between them was so violent enough to get them into separate rooms, why was she left with him for 2 hours and 49 minutes? Does this make her request for the hotel staff to come back in 15 minutes to check on her more dire? The request for them to return, was it because Joe was there showering or on his way back from the beach and she wanted to ensure that she had a third party to keep her safe, allegedly, and check in on her, allegedly? We will never know. Joe gives no answers for where he was during this time. She says she was hurt, but curtly tells you to refer back to the words of the deputy director. He refuses to acknowledge and skips over 3 hours and just says, I then head down with the Zuri staff to my new villa, number 65. I then started to receive incredibly disturbing texts from Ashlee stating her clear intent to take her life. I tried calling her multiple times, but she wouldn't pick up. I begged and pleaded, but to no avail. Joe calls Ashlee and makes 6 repeated outgoing canceled calls from 8:29 to 8:35 p.m. And by his own words, he was in the room from 7:32 p.m. to 8:29 p.m. a full 26 minutes before Ashlee is found at 8:55. Then completely gives up on calling and talking to her until 10:17 p.m. when Ashlee allegedly starts texting again. The call log provided says outgoing call canceled, with 6 rings taking about 36 seconds. A new fact I learned. Knowing exactly when to hang up before and not leaving a voicemail is interesting. Her phone wasn't dead, or it would have gone straight to voicemail, and we know the hotel gave her a charger to use. That's why the guy was coming back to check on her. So from 10:17 to 10:30, she displayed suicidal texts. And let me get this right. Her soon-to-be husband can't reach her by phone from 8:29 to 8:35, per his own call records provided, and he thinks absolutely nothing of this, but instead waits a full 2 hours later, and again, we have no clue where he is. Y'all, somebody gonna have to tell me what he could have been doing that was way more important than making sure the both of them were okay. Even if they broke up, wouldn't one still expect him to make sure they got home okay? He's just proposing like literally days earlier. So what happened to the vows of in health and in sickness until death do us part? But he goes on and says, I did, however, tolerate Ashlee becoming physical with me on more than one occasion, including Ben. She also confided with me that she had been in multiple abusive relationships with other men. Hello, women. This is why you don't be telling your business, because he is literally using it against a dead woman. How low can you be? This too seems more like an alibi builder statement than facts. allegedly, since we don't have her to verify or dispute any of his statements. So these are my thoughts and questions. The autopsy should have confirmed her concussion sustained 22 days prior. The brain swelling, if it is as bad as he said, would have been present. Yet it only confirmed that she was hung and died of asphyxia. How did the hotel staff find her approximately at 8:55 p.m., but she was still texting Joe and her mother from 10:17 to 10:30 p.m. when she abruptly stopped? Why, when Yolanda asked, "What room is she in?" does Joe state, "Is she not responding to you? She's texting me." Why ask if she's not responding? Instead, why not use texting? Is it because he knows she is responding to her because it is allegedly him? He never said that she didn't pick up his calls 2 hours prior when she was texting and not picking up. Where are the rest of the text messages between them? Or is that when he ghosts her until the following day when she says that he told her that Ashlee had hurt herself some 11 hours prior? Pic 24 is bothering me. The SMS bubbles and the captions with text are implying that Yolanda is texting him. But the name bubble at the top is her name, not Joe's name. And how is Joe responding to Yolanda's text in blue? Remember the bubbles? And she's giving responses to him in clear. Shouldn't it be reversed if she's sending it? I mean, at least the phone time is in the correct format this time. Joe's phone in military time. Ashlee's phone is in 12-hour time. Yet in some of the pictures, he says it's coming from his phone. But the times are in 12-hour times, not military. With the date and to whom it's being sent to being cropped out. And let me ask another thing that's standing out to me. What 30-year-old looks up volumes to OD on? Because that was one of the chat GPT searches, right? Now, let's take it back, a trip down memory lane, because this is even older than me. That's a painkiller that had significantly declined during the 1970s and the 80s when he was a kid, and it was a decade and a half before she was born. So why would she reach for a drug not commonly used or found in our vocabulary today? Basically, that's like me looking up something my mother would have used as a child to commit suicide. That doesn't even make sense. That knowledge would not be readily available to me in my generation. Another thing is trying to give or make Ashlee's concussion a traumatic brain injury. That would change the entire personality to the point she wants to kill herself, as one of the possible symptoms, I might add, if you Google it online. And the only person that saw these signs were him. Not only is this very suspicious, but it doesn't follow the advice the actual doctor she saw, and the findings is very convenient for someone who is allegedly building an alibi. Who did Zanzibar police get copies of the phone records from? Did they actually subpoena them, or were they only the records supplied by Joe? And this is what we're looking at. Did he ever check into room 65, or did he end up going back to room 25 when she was at the hospital? To have all that time, to have access to her devices, her things, this is very weird. And a quick online search will tell you that while he's not publicly claimed to be an AI developer or have built AI systems himself, his professional profiles and past roles show a strong familiarity with AI infrastructure and its applications in finance. So, is it possible that he had access or had someone hack her chat GPT to create a fake search history? And another thing, who hangs themselves in the dark? She asked the hotel staff to come and check on her so she could cut off all the lights and close the door, then hang herself? That doesn't make sense. And when asked directly what the disagreement was, his response is My answer to the previous question sets the record straight on what really happened. So him saying she was picking fights out the blue was his only explanation, and that it may have stemmed from some concussion or TBI, based off of how he's describing things, because she was never diagnosed as having a TBI. And all this is from March 13th. One that the ME never found proof of during the autopsy. Even saying, while as a parent myself, I empathize with her parents in the deepest possible way, I could find these comments utterly confusing. The devastating reality is that Ashlee, who was truly wonderful but tortured soul, did suffer visibly evident and significant mental health problems. Moreover, to anyone who insists on believing against all reality that Ashlee's death was suspicious, I would suggest that they watch the Deputy Director Chimbrera's June 4th press conference, in which he left zero doubt that Ashlee's death was tragic by suicide. If you don't get your narcissistic, victim-shaming whole ass up out of here, giving opinions as if they're facts, acting like you're a doctor when you can't even keep your company together, and it ain't even technology and medicine are two different things, you have no proper background or credentials to state that something gives zero doubt, especially since we have found in several major inconsistencies throughout his story. So providing pictures 47 and 48 are irrelevant and have nothing to do with this storyline, except showing that when Joe is flush with money, he's good. But what we are seeing is the relationship after he's not flush with money. An online search shows that his company, Asymmetric Financial Liquid Alpha Fund, was shut down mid-July 2025 after it suffered a 78% year-to-date loss and faced intense investor backlash. The closure followed a sharp decline in the fund's value, driven by high leveraged volatility, driven trading strategies, and cryptocurrency market. A social media post went viral, exposing a $10 million loss by a prominent investor, Big Brain SOL, which amplified investor frustration and eroded the trust of the fund's future. So McCann announced the shutdown on July 23rd, 2025, stating that the strategy had failed to deliver this year, that the firm was pivoting towards Solana-based infrastructure investments. He offered his investors the option to redeem assets or transfer funds into a liquid investment vehicle, while emphasizing that Asymmetric's other divisions, such as its venture capital arm, remained unaffected. The decision came shortly after McCann announced a $1 billion, with a B, Solana Treasury initiative, which drew criticism for timing amidst the fund's underperformance. Sounds a lot like what we're seeing in the market today. People over here inflating the value of companies when the numbers and the math aren't matching, and the reports to the investors are showing that the companies are underperforming, but these folks are running around talking about their billion-dollar companies. The shutdown underscores the fragility of leveraged trading strategies in volatile markets and reflects a broader industry shift towards long-term, infrastructure-driven investments over speculative short-term bets, like cryptocurrency, which is what he's in. So when asked if he was distant during the hotel stay, this is something else that's very revealing. He says, while Ashlee's family is entitled to their feelings, the reality is that I was entirely preoccupied with saving Ashlee. During the whole period, I did everything in my power to assist the doctors and nurses frantically working to keep Ashlee alive. I even created a shared Google Doc that I used to to constantly update Ashlee's family with every bit of information as I was coordinating with multiple doctors, hotel staffs, and even a medevac service provider out of Nairobi. Man, so, okay, you over here doing all of this while you're not talking to her family? Let's be real, dog. You was being investigated. Your passport was seized. You was not over there in a capacity of you could just leave whenever you wanted to leave and you was hopping in to help. That doesn't even make sense. He goes on to say, I know they received this Google Doc that had all the information in it because they shared it with other members of the family and friends who requested access to it. All right, man. What's funny is when I'm preoccupied with work and overwhelmed, sitting down and creating another damn Google Doc is the very last thing, well, next to paying taxes to Pimpin' Sam, that my ass is going to want to do in an emergency. So in an emergency, you want to create more work when a simple phone call, text, or FaceTime would have done so much in a fraction of the time. Which leads to the next question and response on why he didn't attend the funeral. State, although we had been in communication during Ashlee's final hours, Ashlee's mother never reached out to me after the 9th. I wonder why. And her father never reached out after the 10th. I freaking wonder why. I decided to respect their desire for distance. Moreover, my priorities were to get Ashlee's remains home to cooperate with the authorities to assist them in their investigation. Sir, you had the family have to create a GoFundMe to get the woman's body home. You only assisted because they forced you to assist because of the outcry from people such as myself, making them hold you accountable. Because, surprise, in Zanzibar, suicide is a crime, so they're actually going to attack the victim, the person who's having the mental issue or the reasons for why they want to kill themselves, as opposed to seeking help for them. He goes on to say there was simply never any form of communication from her parents or any other member of her family with me in respects to the funeral. Excuse me? But aren't you the fiance that let the hotel tell her family she had passed away? Weren't you the one with boots on the ground, not calling, and instead creating Google Docs and sending damn emails? And if they didn't call you, what prevented you from calling them? Respect? Oh, that same respect that wasn't shown when being transparent on what happened in this whole situation, other than a concussion that you're trying to make a TBI. We have absolutely no proof, just speculation. Highly cropped text messages, and from the appearances of said text messages allegedly looking like they're coming from the same devices. When asked about regrets, his response was scaring. Quote, I regret that I couldn't alleviate Ashlee's deep mental anguish and pain sooner. What the hell do we mean by that? Oh, Lord, excuse me, but how could you alleviate her deep mental anguish and pain sooner? If she spiraled so quickly during these 22 days, taking her on a trip out of the country instead of to the doctor was not only inappropriate, it was very irresponsible as her future freaking husband. Talking about she shared numerous deep, disturbing things with me in the weeks and days leading up to her death, and she spiraled quickly during this time. I wish I could have brought her over from the darkness into the light. Who the fuck does this person think he is? Captain Saver? And she wasn't even. So who we saving? What we doing? This whole hero complex, like for real, dog? He goes on to say, I have also begun the process of setting up a 501c3 foundation to properly honor Ashlee's legacy and to aid others who are grappling with mental health struggles. I will be making a more detailed announcement about the 501c3 at an appropriate time in the near future. Woo, Lord, I really hope and pray this family issues a cease and desist letter to fight him from doing this. Now, by all means, set up a foundation to aid those in danger of suicide. But under no circumstances should you be permitted to use her name or likeliness in any capacity to get access to any money. If y'all don't know, creating nonprofits is one of the easiest and best ways to launder and steal money from a cause. Cue the current admission. Hello, remember his charities? He was raiding them. He's raiding our freaking government. I digress. Under no means should Joe be allowed to destiny swap with Ashleejenae, especially since she is no longer here to defend herself. Are you freaking serious? His words to her family: as a father myself, I can't imagine how it must be to lose a child. I hope that you're able to find a small measure of peace thinking about the incredible impact that Ashlee made during her time on Earth and the impact that her legacy will have for years to come. If anybody is helping her impact continue on and legacy last, it definitely should not be you. And the final chilling words that he said: Ashlee was my soulmate and I will never allow her to be forgotten, reminds me of him being obsessed. Him citing her impact on the earth and her legacy without getting the proper support and including the family is the ultimate form of disrespect and destiny swapping. Are you freaking kidding me? He is literally colonizing her beautiful black body, her memory, trying to harvest the money that she would get in her name for him and his causes and what he thinks, even though he's putting it under the disguise of mental health. Come on, y'all. We don't care nothing about the grief while she's not here to make any more memories or share the love of her family. Gerardin, benevolent scapegoat, is comical at best. To even state, when a group of people are suffering from pain, anger, and frustration from an acute event, Ashlee suicide, they find an object to sacrifice, me. And only when that object or person is expelled or eliminated do they have the strength to move on from the source of the pain. There are a myriad of instances of Gerard's scapegoating concept across history. I'm just one of many examples. The tragedy of this circumstance is that the focus should be on remembering Ashlee's greatness and preserving Ashlee's legacy. Man, if you don't get your whole colonizer ass the fuck up out of here, this is a textbook narcissistic believing he's bigger than the racism African Americans have faced over the hundreds of years, and something as tragic as Ashlee's death leads us to sacrificing you? Sweetie, you are not that important. We are honoring the person who's important, and that's not the one who's with us today. The only way we are moving forward from the pain is when justice is brought for her. He then goes on and thanks the police and investigators, but feels that her story needs telling. What is the story? Because other than painting her as an erratic black woman, what is the story? Nothing in this interview sheds light on anything for Ashlee. It really just makes you more suspicious. We hope that the American medical examiners will do a better job and have a more conclusive autopsy than the one that was just a regurgitation of the first story told to the police. He goes on to say, it has been absolutely devastating, incomprehensible. None of this feels real. Ashlee's death has been a nightmare of nightmares. Everything in my life today reminds me of her, and her absence is a consistent reminder of the tragedy that has taken place. May your soul not properly rest until hers can. In the end, he did nothing to show or tell us of her story. Instead, what we got is what feels like a false narrative crafted where Joe is positioning himself as the victim being sacrificed, when in fact it looks as if she was sacrificed to revive your failing company under the disguise of a 501c3 in her honor. So literally, if he cannot have her in life, he is determined to have her in perpetuity in death, which is the ultimate display of an obsession. As he first said to her on the first date. Quote, "He's obsessed already," he says. LOL. That, quote, "She is perfect, almost too perfect. I fell in love with her on our first date, and she did with me as well." Who fit perfectly and felt comfortable in her own skin and on my arm. And of course, she was out of this world gorgeous. The photos and videos people see of her online exemplify her beauty, but not the person. It's impossible to put in words how stunning she was. And yet, he then details his story of the woman that he wants us to remember, and not the woman that she wants us to remember. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to click, share, subscribe, and follow.